2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On Beat Off Script. My name is Brandito, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Mel and Bob. We got the whole gang together for this one, which is exciting. It's been a long time, I feel like it's been since the three of us have all been able to be together to do this. It's been a tough thing to
At least 2 recordings.
Yeah.
Like a month.
Yeah,
it's been 100%. A minute.
Well, we're going to go through a couple of the albums and stuff like that now. Opening everything up, we've got a little bit of Bleeds by Wednesday. I guess I should say before we dive into everything, I was going to ask you guys, so what do you guys think about the albums that we have coming up that we're going to cover on the podcast today? What are your thoughts? Did you have thoughts going into everything?
I didn't know what to expect, but that's pretty common for me. No idea what's going on because I don't know any of these artists ever. I know of them, but don't know much about them. So yeah, I always go in with zero expectations, and that's kind of, I think that helps me give an honest review a lot of the time, but we'll see.
This week I was pretty excited for this week's lineup, actually. So Wednesday I didn't know of until Brandito introduced me to Rat Saw God. What was that, like last year that came out? So I was pretty excited to dive back into them. Rat Saw God was a really cool album. Lola Young I've been obsessed with, so obviously pumped to cover that. And Doja is, you never know what to expect from Doja, so she's just a character. I'm always down to dive into some Doja Cat.
100%. Yeah. No, it's good stuff. But let's get into our first one. Our first one up first, obviously, is Wednesday with Bleeds. In case you don't know who Wednesday is, let me tell you. Wednesday is an alt-rock band from Asheville, North Carolina. Who have been around since 2017. The band is a combo of Carly Hartzman on vocals, well-known solo indie rocker MJ Lenderman, Zandy Chelmis, Alan Miller on drums, and Ethan Bechtold. The most recent addition to the group, replacing bassist Margot Schultz. It began as a duo between Hartzman and instrumentalist Daniel Gorham, who's no longer with the band, but quickly became a 5-piece after their debut album Yep Definitely in 2018. Hartzman was inspired to start the project after watching Mitski's Tiny Desk concert in 2017, which is great. I love Mitski as well, so really love that she was an inspiration for this band even existing, because I really appreciate this band a lot and a lot of the things that they've come out with the last little bit. Hartzman, who was working on multiple projects at the time, met MJ Lenderman, who actually stayed with their family after a show and ended up being romantic with Hartzman. And with the removal of Gorham from the crew to proceed with other projects, Hartzman did the opposite and proceeded to focus on Wednesday as their main project, desiring a more shoegazy style than her other projects that she kind of was working on at the time. Enter a bunch of other local Carolinians, and they dropped their second album titled I Was Trying to Describe You to Someone in 2020, and then Twin Plagues in 2021. That's when they kind of busted out a covers album, because why not in 2022, where they covered, Hotline TNT, Smashing Pumpkins, a couple of notable ones there. And then finally in 2023, they saw their more breakout album in Rat Saw God, departing from label Orndle Records and signing to Dead Oceans, where they saw great critical success, and truthfully was my introduction to them, and I probably would have called it my second favorite indie album of the year, behind Indigo DeSalza's All of This Will End, which I talked about a lot, literally a couple episodes ago. So if you guys want to hear my take on Indigo DeSalza, take a look back there. Stylistically, Wednesday is kind of a fun crossover between emo, shoegazy vibes with country undertones, especially being that North Carolina influence, that help really kind of establish some uniquity to their sound from other indie rockers that are out there, really emphasizing, again, kind of on their regionality, being in the Carolinas and stuff. Their fifth album, Bleeds, is set to be a spiritual successor to Rat Saw God, and is sort of Hartzman's way of cementing their sound, as what they attempted to do multiple times before finding the formula on Rat Saw God. It's also the first album since MJ Lenderman and Carly Hartzman split, so there is some undertones of some turbulence between their relationship that I'm sure Mel and Bob paid a lot more attention to than I did.
Oh yeah, baby.
So there's definitely going to be some conversations there. Unfortunately, MJ Lenderman will not be touring with them anymore, and is actually just going to kind of work with them, I think, just on a studio level, but even then might be less involved in what Wednesday does moving forward, which is unfortunate because I do really appreciate MJ Lenderman as a solo artist and in Wednesday. So we'll see how that all ends up playing out and stuff. But yeah, before we go into the track by track, what were your guys' thoughts on Wednesday before going into it all?
Raw yet polished.
Ooh.
That's all.
I loved how personal this album was. I love diving right into a good story. Yeah, I'm in.
Dope.
Cool.
Right on. Well, everything starts off with kind of where they actually pulled the title of the album from, with reality TV argument bleeds. So let's listen.
With high beams on, we're driving slow through the dog-legged logging road. Look back and watch the engine blow through the darkness and the dripping snow.
Immediately having a good time. I love
Yeah.
the grungy, distorted guitar. Love just the rawness of it, and I'll use that word a lot throughout this album. It's both pleasant and not pleasant to listen to in a good way. You know what I mean? So yeah, having a good time.
Yeah, for me, like the guitar really stole the show here. It was like very, very overwhelming at times and offered like very little reprieve, but I thought that set such a good tone for the album. I loved her vocals are almost like droning and monotonous at points, but I thought that really helped let the guitar shine. And when she does start to inflect and then end up screaming, it really, really stood out for me. Like the emotion just really came through. A lot of really cool imagery was happening already. Like each verse was kind of putting a different like scene in my head, all giving like rural small town energy with like the picking ticks off you, wet boards of a wooden bridge, bar light flickering, the dog-legged logging road. Yeah, I was sold right off the bat.
Your broke dick sincerity. You know.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
No, I really like that it opened up in this really shoegazy indie spot. It was very soundscapey. It honestly kind of felt like a more soundwall-y version of Garbage to me, which I really appreciated a lot. Obviously, that 90s influence, a big in this kind of style. It was a great start to the record. I was a big fan of it. I didn't really have a whole lot of notes for it. This is one of my favorite tracks of the album, like right off the hop. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took us
Sold.
into Townies.
'Cause you went to a party in County Stoke and bonfires with leaf blowers. It got you in the back of his car, just your sneakers and your drawers. Group of girls went around telling everywhere you fooled around and gave you a strong reputation for being someone always down.
Love that little vocal pitch change there. That's really cool.
She gets so yowly and I love it so much.
Yeah.
She's like such more of a twang here, but I thought it worked so well.
This is the sort of country influence on like an alt rock album that like made me love Rat Saw God. So I really, honestly, this was my favorite song of the
Yeah.
album. This was by far my favorite. More southern like sort of style in it, which was obviously really appreciated. And the vocal range on it was just like perfectly imperfect, right? It just fits the vibe so perfectly, the way that she inflects and does those types of things with her voice. Yeah, like I said, my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mel.
Oh, I was going to say, I love how like the opening started off so soft too in comparison to the last track with that like super simple guitar in comparison. But like that build up when she reveals that the kid finally like died, I thought was so sick. Also, the forgiveness she's showing in here, I thought was so mature. Like, obviously, teenage boys like suck, and she like states in the opening verse that the ghosts of them surround me, like the ghosts of the townies. So that trauma and humiliation is obviously still sticking with her when she goes back to visit like her hometown. Like she's still haunted by it, but she's still so willing to forgive and like move on from it. I just, yeah, the maturity in here too, I just loved.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah, you mentioned the song basically just starts up with like 40 seconds of folk country, essentially. It's a very, very soft, and then it gets really grungy, which is the clip we heard. I already mentioned I love the vocal pitch. Yeah, great song, great first 2 tracks. I'm having a great time.
For sure. 100%.
Hell yeah.
Then, how do we wind up here? Well,
Lol, by
the
holding
next song
on.
is wound up here by holding on. Yeah, 100%. How'd you know that now? Let's listen.
Psychic.
Around up here, but holding on. Your face is fear gathers like a moth. Wound up here, but holding on. Around up here, but holding on. Started the highway, then ran out of money. So we meet up at the on-ramp, drink 2020.
I start to notice a pattern with basically every song on this album where she's just talking about things that happened in her past. Like that she's just telling stories the entire time. Like, oh, we met up on the ramp, we drank 2020, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's cool, but I'm starting to notice that pattern, and I don't know that it works with every single song, but this is another strong one. Again, I love her vocals, and I think Brandito termed it perfectly. He's perfectly imperfect. The way she sings, the way she kind of blends in with that grungy, distorted guitar. It's just raw, and it's all good. Still having a good time.
Yeah, this one had another like super cool opening. I did read that it was inspired by a story her friend told her when he had to pull like a body of a woman out of a lake. And the line I wound up here by holding on was inspired by her friend's poetry book that she had read and was gonna like write a little personal note in. So yeah, all these like little personal touches just make it feel very like homey almost, even though the subject matter is like so dark. The line, mounted antlers in the kitchen on a crooked nail, other killers keep teeth, keep the fingernails. I thought that was like so haunting and gross, but like cool. Like we were literally talking about hunting a second ago, and I thought like hunting has always kind of freaked me out. So this like really kind of like stood out to me where she's like essentially comparing hunters to like straight up serial killers. I was like, yeah, it's kind of fucking sick. And yeah, the song just felt like it's one of the true crime podcasts or documentaries I obsessively consume.
Yeah.
So like right up my alley.
100%. Yeah, it's another very indie track. I like the grittiness of the album so far. It's just played really well. Like I think it's played out really awesome for them on that side of things. This is a little bit poppier in its indie vibe. I'll be honest with you. This reminded me a lot more of Indigo de Souza, like in terms of like how stylistically it was put together with it, but really still owns the lyricism that I'd hope for from like Midwest emo kind of vibes, right? And this one really stood out to me on the guitars. MJ Lenderman's guitars, and then really in those destructive spots with Zandy Shelmis, like working those really heavy steel guitars. I was again, I'm still having a good time. Like a really good time.
Yeah.
But we do end up converting a little bit more country than really the rest of the album ends up being with Elderberry Wine. So let's give that a listen.
Sweet song is a long con. I drove you to the airport with the e-brake on. Ain't heard that voice in a long time. Had to check back there to make sure you were alive. Angel hum of an electric car reverses toward me. Sometimes in my head I give up and flip the board completely. But everybody gets along just fine, 'cause the champagne tastes like elderberry wine.
I'm loving her vocals so much. It's so tender. Yeah, super folky country. This one is the clear breakup song for me. Like, I drove you to the airport with the e-brake on. She's like trying so hard to slow down saying her goodbye. That line like really just kind of hit. And like the whole elderberry wine, like elderberries are poisonous if raw, but sweet if turned into wine. Like relationships are such a delicate balance to like maintain, and it's just kind of like heartbreaking that it didn't work out. But yeah, this one was just, I thought it was so pretty.
Yeah. Say I want to have your baby because I freckle and you tan. Like that's it's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's heartbreaking, and she gets it across amazingly with the lyrics, with the vocals.
Her voice like cracking. Yeah.
Very, very country, which is not normally my wheelhouse, but I'm again, great song. It's a cool groove throughout the song, honestly. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it's still a solid track. Like I said, a lot more country. It's not a pop girl doing it though, so like I'm gonna give it a lot more forgiveness to start. Thank God, but she also is clearly a country
girl. They're from
like,
Asheville.
She's legit. She's not just somebody pretending to be country. She is from there. She is that. I heard a lot of listen to Williams in the writing of this one, which obviously like played pretty nicely for me in that kind of spot. I think this was a low point for me on the album, but that's just because I think it rocks less. You know what I mean? So like, just wasn't necessarily my favorite. It's still a great track though. And so if this is a low point, it's a pretty good project, all things considered. You know what I mean? So so I was I'm a fan of the track. Probably the low point of the album for me though. So
not a low point for me, but I like this kind of shit.
I think the low point's still to come for me too. But but didn't enjoy as much as the first three. But I definitely
is it
enjoyed
Fish Pepsi? Because that's what's up next.
It might be Fish Pepsi. We'll see.
This song made me cackle.
It's so funny. Let's listen to it.
Yeah.
Snuck in through the tennis court, laid in the dark on the carpeted floor. Came here for a party in middle school. Rode my bike home, drunk off of a four-wheel go.
There's such a fun funk happening here. I don't know. I really liked how funky it got. And that, like, the layered male vocals, I thought added such a cool texture that we haven't really gotten yet.
Yeah.
Also, shout out for the line we watched a Fish concert and Human Centipede.
Two things I wish I'd never seen.
Yeah.
Dead.
So
I
good.
fucking cackled.
That is good. Yeah. Yeah, I did write down. I love the groove. I love the groove of this song. I don't know. The vocals just didn't do it for me. In this song, she sounds like she's singing like right up to the mic, like the entire song. And
I'll be honest with you. I could not listen to a full album of this.
Yeah.
The fact that they just threw it on to this album, though, I think is perfect.
Sure.
I honestly that's why I wouldn't call this my low point on the album, because like. Yeah. I kind of like it when nothing else on the album is even going to be close to it. Just like they're just like,
fair. Yeah.
This is your
switch up.
Your TV interlude. This is like the in between the front half and the back half of the album. You know what I mean?
It's also like a little bit of like comedic relief for me. Like it's just kind of so silly.
Yeah.
Especially after the last song. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I need 100%. To kind of listen to it. The male vocals
it might be
for me were
holding the album
distracting.
back from like the first three tracks, but like honestly, like I think this was just a fun differentiator. It just showed like, hey, like we can do other things too.
Yeah.
There you go. I moved on. It doesn't really fit in with the rest of the album. I don't think it needs to. I think it kind of just is fine.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I do agree. Like, I prefer her vocals on her own, but, like, it was so different that it stood out to me with, like, the male layering happening.
I like the over-filtering and stuff like that, too. That was a little bit unique on this one. That wasn't necessarily there before. Honestly, again, if it was just a full album of just that, I would have gotten pretty sick of it pretty quickly. I'm with you on that. But because it was a one-off and because of where it was placed, and I thought it was placed pretty poignantly, I thought it was still a solid entry.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
But that takes us right back into the stuff that we've been loving with Candy Breath. So let's listen to that.
Get around finding key. Fueling tired fire flame. Scattered like cockroaches through the dusty door. You opened up a portal into your sickle world.
Yeah, great song. We're back to the grunge. I'm happy. The guitar work just awesome in this one. Still love the distorted sound of it. Yeah, having a good time.
Yeah, I was a big fan of like there was kind of like a rotation happening or like a roller coaster happening of like calm and chaotic that I was a really big fan of. Also something I just love so much about her storytelling is she does such a good job, and I've talked about this before, but like invoking multiple senses. So like that candy breath, like she talks in the early verse, like guzzle it down at midnight in the fridge light, and ends off on like mired in your candy breath. It just gave me that vibe that she's being stunted by someone's like alcoholism and he's using the candy to mask the smell. And like I can smell that. Like I can smell like your gross beer breath but with peppermint overlaid on it, and I don't know, it just like the scenes that she creates really like are so, I don't know, successful to me.
Agreed.
I'm big fan.
And the imagery is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're a lot more rocky. That 90s grungy vocals again. I enjoy it so much. The guitar is also coming huge here. I think I would be bummed to go to one of their concerts and it not be MJ Lenderman performing this song.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad for the band in a pretty big way. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, like I wish it was MJ doing it though. Still, honestly, one of my top 3 tracks of the album. I love this one a lot. Really good track. Yeah, I'm happy with it too. But you know, MJ Lenderman's not there because that's just the way love goes. And
No.
that brings us to our next track,
Tear.
The Way Love Goes. Let's give it a listen.
Oversold myself on the night we met. Not as entertaining as you might have thought I was then.
This one was really heartbreaking. It was just like that idea that the more you get to know someone, the easier it is to fall out of love with that person just like really broke my heart a little bit. And it's just so tender and sad.
I think the lyrics carry this one. I don't think there's a lot going on here musically. It's sweet. It's nice, but yeah, you really have to like pay attention to the lyrics to enjoy the song, in my opinion. I was kind of bored otherwise, but
The country slide guitar every here and there was definitely a play.
yeah,
That was interesting. This one felt very interlude-y to me.
yeah,
It's a 2-minute track, so like I was like, it might open up, but it doesn't really ever open up. It's just kind of like that all the way through, which,
yeah,
again,
That's the way love goes.
sometimes it's just the way it goes.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of the way love could go, let's pick up that knife.
Nice.
Here's a clip.
Walk too close to someone to get out.
Quick, short clip.
No, it's very true, but yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I loved Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I loved how unpredictable her cadence was here. It like was really keeping me on my toes. That guitar solo after the line, sometimes it feels like it'll never really end. I thought really just embodied the frustration of things just not going right. Yeah, I just put "Gotta Control Your Rage, fam." Blowing up on the wrong person can see you dead. And I also really loved her tone switches. Like it was really ominous at first until like she almost gets like guttural. And I'm a big fan of how she switches up her vocals.
Yeah, the emotion she sings with in this song is top notch. Yeah, even she says the same line, "They'll meet you outside," like 15 times at the end of the song, but each one is like a different emotion almost, and it just crescendoing into like super frustration or whatever you want to call it. There's a really cool breakdown like a minute into the song that I liked a lot too. Yeah, good, cool song. I like it.
Yeah, it's a lot more dreamy than the rest of the album, which I kind of liked a lot about it. I like how destructive it ends up turning into in these moments. It's a really nice balance of like what I can like about indie rock, that's more than just the surface level of what indie rock is. And yeah, the bounce back and forth on this track is just a really fun way to handle it. I think it's kind of a track that has something for everyone. Regardless of if you want something that's a little bit more in your face or something that's a little bit softer, it kind of does both at the same time, which I think is really cool. It can kind of be an introduction to both styles of that. But yeah, I was a big fan again too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now let's get even grittier with a little Wasp.
I love that she gave us a full screaming track. I wasn't expecting it. I love her screaming vocals so much. She's
really
like just
good.
So full of rage and emotion, but you could still understand what she's saying, which I appreciate so much. And also there was just a sick transition from Pick Up That Knife to Wasp that I really enjoyed. I love a good transition.
Yeah, there's she's really good at this, and you could tell she's not forcing it at all. At all. Imagine listening to this after elderberry wine, and just the juxtaposition is crazy. Like if they did that live or something on a set list, that'd be really funny. Yeah, I love the song, filled with emotion, super raw, which is what's working for the album. Totally, I love it.
100%. Yeah, no, it's a short little punky track. I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but like I do tend towards like their rockier side. This just almost kind of overdid it a little bit, on my opinion, but like
loved it.
It's so
short.
I still like it.
It's so short that it didn't feel overdone.
It doesn't
to
ruin
me.
anything. You know what I mean? Like that's like the one thing that they think they do really well is they do try a lot of different things on this album that would be considered. It would like a lot of people would take it as a song that just doesn't fit with the rest of everything else that's going on. But I feel like they consistently do it in a way that finds a way to either tie in something with it, either thematically, or they keep it so short or so brief, like Wasp, where it also fits thematically, but it also doesn't really take away from anything. Like, you just kind of get this quick moment in it, and then you move on. And it doesn't really feel like it pulled you all the way out of the album and then try to re-pull you back in. Like we see with so many other artists who have done, like, these conceptual type albums, who they pull you out for an entire reason to be like, hey, I can do something different, but now we're going to go back to that. And, like, it kind of is like, well, no, I can't go back to it now after you just did that. Like, that's impossible. You ruined it for me. Wednesday, I feel like they keep pulling you out of it, but, like, not to a point that it actually is upsetting, and then you go back into it and it feels still really organic, right?
She also does a really good job, like, yeah, this was the first screaming song we get, but like she's been guttural in other songs. So I feel like her tones and her vocals help, the emotions help string it all together that nothing feels out of place for me ever.
For sure. Agreed. 100%. And that takes us over to Bitter Every Day.
Oh, Brandito. More great storytelling. Again, like I can taste the plasticiness of like a grocery store sushi. I can feel the cold spot of the lake. I can smell the potpourri dead smell of a stagnant creek. Like, she's just so good at storytelling. She took something that could have just been a very, I guess, not a boring song because or story, because it is about like a homeless person that they knew like becoming a murderer, but like it could have been really boring, and she just adds such great imagery to it that just keeps me so invested in what she's saying.
Yeah, this song in particular felt a little samey to me for some of the other stuff on the album, but like that's a good thing for me. I'm still having a great time. Again, yeah, the storytelling, the lyricism, amazing. You feel like you're there. You feel like you can imagine what's going on. Yeah, good stuff. I like, and there's a cool little tempo change at the end that was really cool as well. Like,
yeah. I like the slide into the flat notes at the end of almost every bar. It reminds me very 90s rocky kind of a sound. I appreciated that a lot. It's a pretty conventional indie track. It feels super par for the chorus and right in their wheelhouse. Like, the aggressive slow up to close everything out was a nice touch. We haven't had a whole lot of slow up on this album so far, so it did actually feel like an added dimension. And then, I mean, the next track's gonna completely change what I just said entirely, but yeah, no, it was no notes. Like, honestly, like a really solid track. It didn't necessarily blow me away. Wasn't like one of my top threes, but probably like my fourth favorite track on the album. You know what I mean? So
agreed.
Yeah, it was right there. And then we get into Carolina Murder Suicide. So
Nice.
Let's give that a listen.
Some of my favorite stuff.
The police talk to your husband on the phone as they put out the fire on your neighbor's burn up
Here's that stuff you love, Mel.
True crime, baby.
True crime stuff,
I also went down a Murdoch murder rabbit hole as she did. So yeah, this was like a really cool track for me. Again, more great storytelling. And like the line, I wondered if grief could break you in half when the gossip died. I think it's just such like a good way to explain why people hyperfixate, or I mean, I feel like it's just white women who hyperfixate on murder. But like that, it's such a great distraction that like when you're focusing on other people's tragedies, you don't think about your own grief and emotions. And the dissociating here, I just really relate to.
Yeah, it's a pretty track. It's a haunting track. The way she's describing like her hometown, basically Carolina, in general, is starting to feel like a Borderlands like wasteland type of deal where all the bad things happen, and you know there's no civilization or anything. It's just all country everywhere.
Wait to visit.
Right? And I'm here to tell you it's not like that. Like at least in
Bob
most
is currently in North Carolina.
I'm in North Carolina right now, in a pretty country part of the state, and it's not quite as disturbing as she makes it out to be in some of these songs.
Yeah, but you're allowed to leave.
That's true.
The difference.
I am.
Honestly,
that's a good
You
point.
also have a home in Ohio.
Yeah, I'm not stuck here. Yeah.
that makes a big difference. And I think that's kind of a big part of what a lot of her thematically is about. Is like she got out, so now she gets to reflect on it all. But there's still people that are like people that she's close with that are still just there. Right, and it's not just her; it's her. Most of the band really is all from North Carolina. So, I think she's kind of talking to be like, "Hey, like I know what it's like on the outside, and now I get to look in, and you guys should get the out of there kind of a mentality." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, you get the chance to leave. For a lot of, I think she's kind of commenting on just that a lot of the people here, they seem to be the same people, especially with like songs like "Townies." Where it's just like these people are here and they're here for life.
There's a lot of
either people that don't like those people either get out or you're going to turn into one of them. So like, it's kind of your pick, right?
Sure.
Yeah, but this is obviously a complete slow up. I think it's a good way to bring us closer to the end of the album here. If you're going to have this conversation, this is the better time to do it, right? This is my final message at the end of this whole project kind of thing. I don't know what I anticipated based on the track name, but it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Something called Carolina Murder Suicide. Might be a little bit of a tough subject matter to go over. The backbone building is like pretty conventional shoegaze trope. That's like honestly like sort of finally kind of starting to be realized. I think they did that pretty well. They don't seem to follow the same conventional formula that way. So like I like the fact that they did it a lot more on this one. But yeah, it's not the track that I'm going to dive back into, but still a decent entry. It didn't hurt the album. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So. And then we get to move into two Garys. Gary's 2. Let's listen to this.
Two Garys.
He took one look at you after he stopped to laugh, and he noticed he mistook you, got it on behalf of some bastard from the bar who had slept with his wife. You said, I never seen you in my God-given life.
This one was so funny. I love that we ended on a sillier, lighthearted note, just telling her landlord's story. It's super country twangy. Pepsi makes another appearance. Gary's a big fan of Pepsi.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought this was fun.
What a crazy song to end on, right? The song's just about some dude, the landlord that got smacked in the face with a baseball bat, lost his teeth. And so he takes out this dude's kneecaps, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty metal, all things considered. But yeah.
Gary's a badass.
Gary's a
man.
Fucking Gary.
Yeah, we get this country moment to end everything off. It's uplifting sounding. It feels like a fitting end, which is like not easy to do on a project. We've discussed that at length, to have like a song that does actually send something off into the sunset that way. But this does this. It's way more yee than I would usually prefer from them. But I think because, again, it's the very end, this is the quick thanks for attending. Appreciate you're here. And then it's a very abrupt end. Like it just cuts out, which I think is the way to go based on how the project kind of played out. I liked it a lot.
Abrupt to start, abrupt to end.
Yeah.
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 Nice.
100%.
And there's your album. We did it.
That is Bleeds by Wednesday.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple more words that I think we should say. How did you guys feel about it in conclusion?
Man, there's a lot this album has to offer, right? I think songs like Reality TV Argument, Bleeds, and Wasp are like when the album is at its best. But I don't think there's a bad song on the album, honestly. I'm having a good time throughout 99% of it, I do think when Hartzman's going absolutely nuts to some shoegaze, some grunge, like I'm rocking out in a dingy dive bar in downtown Akron, 7 Bud Lights down, because that's like the only draft beer they serve, and I'm banging my head among a sea of like-minded individuals. That's
Like-minded.
That's the kind
the
of
townies.
Yeah, the townies, right? That's the kind of imagery I'm feeling. Like this is dive bar material in the best way. Yeah. Had a great time with this. Raw and polished at the same time. Perfectly imperfect, as Brandon put it. Great rhythm to everything. The vocals are such a strength throughout. The lyrics are such a strength throughout. Great album. Had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big fan of like their unconventional song structure. Like there's a lack of chorus that happens. It's just straight storytelling, often from verse to verse. I always a sucker for that. I thought it was a super personal album. Like even if she was either giving us insight to the highs and lows of her relationship with her bandmate, or she was retelling stories that just really like inspired or stuck with her. And it just, I don't know, it gave me a lot to relate to, which I was a really, really big fan. Sonically, there's so much going on and so many little nuggets that I just love to like hyper fixate on. It was pretty close to a perfect album for me. I'm pretty obsessed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really loved it.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I think this record had a lot to be happy with. I think it opened strong with like that kind of emo Midwest shoegazy rock style, but still owned their country North Carolina roots and identity. It will be interesting to see how things play out for Wednesday moving forward, with MJ Letterman obviously playing a smaller role in the band. as I do think he is really important to the energy that goes into their music. But on a skill side of things, I think he was already kind of a backseat player, specifically to Zandy, who does a lot more of the elaborate like guitar scapey performances. So I do think like it's not going to change the vibe of everything, but it will be definitely a change of a lot of stuff. I think there's a lot of creative direction that comes in from both Hartzman and Lenderman. That's going to be a little bit odd. To hear. Either way, I think they did really well. They played with their strengths across a bunch of different styles, and they made it work the way they did with Rat Saw God. I'd be happy to play this again, give it more time lyrically, I think, myself. Because sonically, I think they nailed their intention. So, yeah.
They did lyrically, too. You just have to, go back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you
ratings?
Yeah, ratings. I gave this an 8 myself. I had a great time with this. Will it be my top like 25 albums or whatever? No, but I had a great time with it and I would listen to it again.
Top 25 albums
Of all time or of the year?
For me, yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
I was
in
going to be
general.
like top 25 albums of all time. I'm like, I agree.
Of course
it's
not,
definitely not there for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Top 25 albums of the year. It could be in my top 25 albums of the year.
Oh,
this year.
absolutely.
It definitely is
It's up
for
there,
me. Yeah.
Mel?
I gave it a 9.5. Big
Oh,
fan.
wow. Yeah.
I'm like really big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're all the way there. I gave it an
Yeah.
8.7. So I was right there with Bob on it.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Wednesday.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree with us? Do you hate it? Are you more of a Monday person? Let us know in the comments, please.
We did not like Kadeka's Monday, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. We
shit
did not
on
like
that?
Monday. Yeah. And people hated that we hated Monday. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Did they?
People hated that we hated
Well,
Monday.
let us know in the comments if you.
I
But we
like
love
it
Wednesday.
too.
But we're big Wednesday
I loved
people.
Wednesday.
Hump day.
Tell us were we right, were we wrong? Give us suggestions. What should we be thinking about? What should we be talking about when we're talking about these bands? Let us know. But other than that, that's been another album review. Bleeds by Wednesday
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
by On Beat Off Script. I'm Brandito. I'm joined by
Incredible.
Mel and Bob.
Yeah.
And we're signing out. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
3, 2, 1.